Every idea, every story starts with a spark, a tiny light that glows. But to speak up, to be heard, to innovate takes courage. We're here to ignite that tiny spark. We're here to foster Canadian voices, our narratives, our ideas. We're here to spark courage. Our logo is a showcase for our culture, our storytellers, our innovators, and it reflects our creators and communities. The Spark is a catalyst to push boundaries, to drive the future, and for Canadian voices to be heard on a global stage.
Talking about ways we can elevate. Stepping up, staring, we escalate. Don't try to separate, we'll get together and celebrate. I can do everything, I just don't hesitate. I can do anything. Get it, got it, good. You got me, I know that you got me, good. Get it, got it, good.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 2022 Future Film Showcase presented by Cineplex Entertainment and CBC GEM. I'm Jocelyn Lau, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer this year. On behalf of the FOFS team, we sincerely thank you for joining us today. FOFS is proud to recognize our public funders, Telefilm Canada, the Arts Vest Business and Arts Program, and the Government of Canada. Today, we're pleased to present our In the Casting Room panel, presented by ACTRA Toronto, moderated by Janet Rose Nguyen. Our Director of Accessibility, Carmel Cochero, will be providing ASL interpretation, and closed captioning will be made available as well. This conversation, along with a full list of our industry program and film schedule, are available to view on fofs.ca, and our official selection is streaming on CBC GEM. Thank you again for being with us here today, and without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to our CEO, Eric Bizzarri.
Thanks, Jocelyn. Thank you all for being here. We're very excited for the second year to be presenting in the casting room panel with ACTRA Toronto. I will pass it over to Janet Rose, our moderator.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we are joined by Sarah and Ashley of Man Casting, Jesse Griffiths, pardon me, it's still early, Jesse Griffiths of Jesse Griffiths Casting, and Linz, who is a freelance casting director and currently the casting producer of Family Feud. And we're just going to get started and see how everyone's doing today. And since we're at the Future Film show. I'd love to hear what everyone thinks the future of casting looks like, and whatever that means to you. I'd love to hear what that means to you. Yeah. Let's start with Sarah because she's not muted.
Hey, oh, I was probably supposed to be muted. Sorry.
No, I realized that no one knows who to go first, so go ahead.
So the future of casting. So I cast commercials. I cast a little bit of TV and film and miniseries, but what I'm like the most passionate about is Toronto's kids. It is unbelievable the talent we have that are kids. Some of them are so good. Like I feel like they should give acting lessons to every adult, member. They are so brilliant. So, and I've been doing this a long time now. So I've watched some of them, like they're 4 now, they're like 14, and just the work they do is brilliant and just mind blowing. So I guess the thing I'm enjoying the most about casting for so long now and the future is just watching these brilliant children grow up. And I can't wait to see what their adult careers be, because they're just so gifted, and I feel grateful. Period.
That's great. Thank you. We can go next to Jesse, and then if you want to pass the torch off to one of the other lovely cast.
I mean, that's such a big, massive question, the future of casting. I think that this trend that I'm noticing over the last couple of years and definitely moving forward is the difference in storytelling and stories and the projects that we get to work on. Obviously a focus on more diverse stories from different backgrounds that we get the pleasure to collaborate on. And as a result of that, we get to meet new actors that we might not have previously been exposed to. And because there's now a need for those actors, we're seeing the talent pool really grow in this city. I mean, it's already exploding, but it's just really exciting to see who can now see themselves having a viable career as an actor because their stories are being reflected on the screen. So from a philosophical standpoint, I think that's really exciting to see. I think logistically, the change in casting is, over the past year or two, we've gone largely virtual with our audition process. And while that is a curse in some ways, the blessing is it opens up a lot more doors for people who might not be in larger city centers to consider acting as a career. It also allows us to collaborate with our production partners who might be across the country or in different countries entirely. So it allows the collaborative process to be, a bit more efficient and face-to-face. And I think it opens doors for a lot of actors, as I said, who might not be Toronto, Montreal, or Vancouver based to pursue a career in the arts. I mean, I could go forever, but that's a nutshell.
I was going to say, Jesse, you took all the good stuff.
Well, that's what I'm going to go second. I'll throw it over to Ashley.
Well, to further that, no, I was going to speak more, on the technical side of it. It's just, we've done, everything's now online, and most of our auditions, instead of coming in to audition live in person, we're doing everything through self-tapes, which is interesting, and it has its pluses and minuses as well. I do think that it opens up a chance for the actors to be a bit more creative, because you're only going off of notes that we're giving you. So that can be interpreted in so many different ways, which, sometimes it's not the route we want to go, but it also gives our creatives a lot of bigger ideas. So I never saw it being performed that way. I never thought of it that way. So it's kind of cool that actors can bring in their own creativity to these roles that we've all thought were going to go one way, and it's kind of opened the door in that sense. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you. And go ahead, Linz.
To build off of what Jesse said with, making casting more accessible, with it being virtual and expanding on the talent pool, I come from a real people casting angle. So I love that we're making a move toward more truth in storytelling, representing, I like to call it responsible representation. So making sure that the people that we're casting for a role are connected to the type of role that it is, casting queer people in queer roles, and catering characters backgrounds based on the actor that you're booking, instead of trying to pigeonhole and find someone of a specific anyways, writing a character around the actor instead of vice versa is basically what I see for the future of storytelling and casting.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, moving forward from that, I would love to hear what the best thing you can do in a self-tape, since we've moved towards that. I know that's another big question, Jesse, you can say, but maybe not just the best thing, but what is like something that, other than like having a good setup, what do you look for in a self-tape that makes you stand out?
I'll say a couple things about that.
Okay.
So the first thing, people are always freaking out with me. Like the question I get asked all the time, where should I do this? How, with the lighting and the reader, and I'm doing a scene and it's like with my brother, but I live with a woman. Like, what do I do? So what I want to say is, on the day, and I'm speaking mostly about commercials, there's going to be a wardrobe department. There's going to be a lighting department. There's going to be a sound department. You are not those departments. What we are casting is the actor. Please, please focus on that and don't let the rest of it stress you out. Of course, we have to see you and hear you clearly. The reader, I'm never listening to the reader. I'm listening to you. The reader is just there to help you. So don't freak out if you don't have a reader. Don't spend millions of dollars on a fancy camera. There'll be a super expensive camera on the day shooting you. What you need to focus on is the acting, because that's what we're hiring. That's what I have to say about that. So yeah, don't stress the stuff you can't control. Please give us a beautiful, truthful performance.
Anyone else want to hop in on that?
I think, Sarah really kind of encapsulated it. I think that there are some broad strokes that would cover like commercial versus real person casting and kind of scripted. The only thing I'd add on to that from more of a scripted perspective is, we do want to see you. We want to see you as an actor. We want to see your choices. I've said this before, but like I don't want you to show me what you think I want to see. I want to see what you want to show me. Otherwise, I'll have 20 people doing the exact same thing, and that's boring. So I'm not saying like make a weird choice for the sake of making a weird choice, but do your homework, know the project you're working on, know the tone, and then you're an artist. So I want to see like your interpretation of the work. And if you can that with what Sarah said, you'll have a perfect self-tape.
And I bet Jesse will agree too, but my least favorite thing and how I know someone's a newer actor is if it looks like they recorded it once, we've asked for, 2 takes, show some variation, and they've uploaded it 2 times, the same take. Like if we're asking for multiple takes, we need to see that you, and you don't have to do like a dramatic, total crazy change, but we need to see that you, have some variation, have some skills, can roll with it. Mm-hmm. So that to me is like, we don't send, I love self-tapes because I can take a chance on a lot of new actors, people I have never seen before that I wouldn't necessarily be able to bring in the room. But if I watch your tape and it's honestly the same thing 3 times, I can't share that with my clients because it just is not what we asked for. And the best piece of advice I could give people about self-tapes, which sounds so very obvious, is please watch them. Because like I'll watch some sometimes and like the audio is completely out of sync, or they let it run for like another 20 seconds of like them talking to their family or whatever. So just watch it. And my other piece of advice, which seems quite obvious as well, and again, more in commercials, is please label your file with your name in the project. I think we're in our we've done about 500 virtual commercials since the pandemic started. And pretty much twice a day, I find a video that's like, I'm doing a McDonald's commercial and all of a sudden someone's like, and I bank with HSBC because, and I'm like, and I try and catch them all. But like, I'll get notes from clients sometimes. They're like, they did such a beautiful monologue, for Murdoch Mysteries, but that's not going to help them book this, McDonald's commercial. So your agents get about billions of self-tapes to upload, or if you're uploading yourself. And I see why mistakes are made, but it is so helpful to us if you label it like Sarah Shep's Murdoch Mysteries, because then it probably won't get uploaded in our McDonald's session.
I feel like,
and just to go ahead, Jesse.
No, actually, I've talked too much. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to keep adding to that. It's just like, we give instructions for a reason, and we ask for certain things because they're very important to the project, whether it's your height or something like that. Just please follow the directions, read everything, read everything, even though it's not your role, because then you'll get a better sense of kind of the scene. And I think every little bit of information we put on there, we're putting on for a reason. And I think it's there to help you. So please take the time to read it through and then, give it a couple shots. And like Sarah's thing, like when we ask for multiple takes, it is to get that variety from you to see that you can go this way or that way, because again, like maybe we haven't figured out which direction we're going in yet. So it's always nice to get options for everything.
And I feel like all these actors are superheroes. Like it's unbelievable, some days I bet some of you get like 5 self-tapes to do. Like it's out of control. So we're like beyond grateful you get it done. We're beyond grateful to your family members who are like, your readers and like your kids who are your camera operators. Like it's crazy and a wild shift in the industry. So please know, although I was like sounding so aggressive and do this, that I'm like, mostly my message is like, thank you. Holy crow, you guys sure have stepped up. And like as casting, we are so appreciative that you've now become sound designers, wardrobe stylists and everything. Like we're just, wow. And to your family members who are your readers, my gosh, thank you.
I would just add, like at a very basic level, make sure that you are giving us, a horizontal. Don't put your phone vertical. Make sure that if you have your microphone connected, it's not rubbing against your clothing. Make sure that, I don't know, I have a light that flickers in the background. I did a self-tape once and it was like a disco ball. Like Sarah said, make sure that you watch it back, edit it, change an angle if you have a glare, like just do the bare minimum to make sure that we can see you and hear you correctly. And that you are fulfilling what we need.
So one little piece of advice I would add to everything that's been said, which I agree with entirely, is to treat the self-tape a little bit like you would a day on set, in the way that you're not going to get 20 takes on the day. So when you go to actually work the material, make sure that you're in a headspace, make sure everything's ready for you to do it. You can do your best work. Because sometimes what I see is a tape that is like kind of lacking a bit of energy, or I see that the choices have become a bit rounded, and I can tell that's the 11th take they took and they thought that was the best one. And it's actually like not. Sometimes the first, second, third, there's an energy, there's an excitement. Doesn't need to be a perfect take, even line wise, but you can tell when someone's like really overworked a piece and it's lost the energy. And I think
really good advice. Yeah.
I think that works.
Limit yourself
for a commercial, but treat it like when the camera's on, you're there to work, and give yourself a couple of takes. And then if you need to take a break, step away and come back to it, but don't just sit down and go take, because there's a bit of magic that gets lost that way.
That's a great advice, because I think even for myself, when I'm helping my friends out and we'll get to the 4th or 5th take, we'll be like, I think it's boring now, it's predictable. Or you can just tell that there's something missing that drives it and the spontaneity goes away. So I love that for everyone listening as well, because sometimes we think it's better to do more, but sometimes the first 2, and that's why when we go in the room, we only really get 2 chances, really. So I wanted to ask then, because we're talking about the best things you can do, but what are the biggest mistakes you can do in either a live audition or a self-tape, other than being rude or not knowing what you're doing?
I know. I think it's listening. People don't listen. So they'll come in, and I understand that there's nerves behind it, and you come in, you've probably been practicing it at home, and this can be on Zoom or live auditions, and you come in and you probably just need to get out of your system and do it the way you've been practicing, and that's fine. But when you come in and people are giving you direction, like you really do need to like listen. Just, I know the nerves are there, but put them aside and just try to really hear what people are telling you, because that's what they want to see. It's great if you came in and like, usually we like to get one out the door. It's like, okay, just show us what you got, and great. But now try this. And a lot of people, you'll see that. And we give them a couple of chances, and it's like, it was the same thing every single time. Like nobody was listening. And I think that's it. So just like be open, just try to calm, listen to your director, and then just give us something else. Show us that you heard something. So yes, definitely listen. There's a lot
And
of
don't apologize. Everyone's always like, I'm so sorry. Like, first of all, not a memorization contest. On the day, of course, there'll be, your script supervisor making sure you get every single legally approved comma. But at our audition, like, we don't have the script in front of us. We're not following along your words. Please don't apologize if you mess it up. And also, Zoom is a little bit crazy. And sometimes you have technical issues, and no need to apologize like profusely, like, I'm sorry, my sound didn't work right away. Like, we're all in this crazy Zoom world together. So please don't, everyone is always apologizing. Don't apologize. We are happy you're there.
Speaking of having the script in front of you, don't have the script in front of you like this, whether it's in person, whether it's virtually, like, keep it down. Make sure that you're looking at the camera, looking beyond the camera. Don't be down the barrel the entire time. Like, we want to see a full range of what you're doing. And if you're blocking yourself or like making sure that you're directly at the camera the entire time, we're going to miss a lot of like the personality in your performance.
Oh, I got another one. Zoom names. Please be prepared, because there's so many people who show up in our waiting room. We have no idea who you are. I know it could be like parents.
Mom's cell phone.
There's so many, and I just take some time before your audition to check your Zoom to make sure what your name is on there, so that we all know, because our people working in the waiting room, I mean, we try so hard to give you as much direction as possible there as well, and nobody reads it.
The best Ash for us is if you we're doing like a trivia, like fun game night the night before, and your name is some sort of weird, inappropriate, swear wordy thing. And we're like, whoo, who's in our waiting room? So if you're like doing some wild party with your friends the night before, try and change it to a non-offensive name.
Yes.
Also,
yes, because we have to let you in the room that way, and then just quickly try to rename you.
Also, check your background. Make sure that whatever you have in your background, whatever you have set as a virtual background, is what you want the casting director to see when you log in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that said too, a lot of people are very worried about what their backgrounds are, like having an actual background where it's not necessarily important, or they're like, oh, my house is messy. And it's like, we don't care. Like, we're not here to look at where you live. We're here to see your performance. As long as we can see you clearly, and there's no, like, what I'm doing is terrible. I shouldn't have a window behind my head, but it's what I do.
And you just don't want anything to distract you, like, we want to see you. So, even if it's something that's beautiful, clean, and exciting, like, most people aren't in their 5-year-old spaceship bedrooms, but like, you don't want anything that's distracting. Like, once we did a commercial where, someone had the coolest like guitars in the background, and like, so cool. But after their audition, nobody talked about their performance. They're like, whoa, did you see those guitars and this and that? So kind of best to have something that's like, doesn't distract from your beautiful performance.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be outshined by your background.
Makes sense. Amazing. Well, thank you for all of that. Well, and then I think what everyone would be interested in too is when you whittle it down to your top, I guess it goes for either commercial, scripted, or reality or real people. When you whittle it down to your top 2 or 3, and we know that producers or your clients come in, but what is your tiebreaker for you as casting directors before the client comes in?
Like the tiebreaker, like how do you become my top 5?
Yeah, or if it's if you have to pick the top 3 and there's 5, like, yeah, what is like for you as casting directors, what whittles it down for you?
I think for me, like, partly it's like knowing what the client wants, then also knowing what I want to show them. Like, kind of going back to what I ask of actors. So if the client, this is for scripted or commercial, whatever, but if they say that they want X person, age, body type, ethnicity, whatever it is, I'm like, that's cool. And here are some options to fulfill that request. But also, what about these 2 lovely actors who might be kind of outside of what you're looking for, but I think could crush this role? Otherwise, it's the same thing I'm asking of actors. If 20 actors do the exact same thing, that's really boring. If I give, my clients exactly what they want every time, then, I'm no different from every other casting director here. Like, I want to show like my personal perspective and my aesthetic and what I look for in actors. So that's part of it. And, we've talked about this before, but we don't get the final say in who we cast, but we do get the final say in who we put forward. So there's a responsibility on us as casting directors to make sure that we're showing, the depth of talent in Toronto, but also to expand the knowledge of our clients of who's out there, so that they know for next time, oh, that person wasn't right for this role, but they could be right for this. And not often, but sometimes, I wouldn't say like arguments, but I've gone to bat for certain actors who I think are definitely right for the role. And for whatever reason, the client's not seeing it. And then, I've only done it a couple of times, but in every instance, the client changed their mind and went with the actor and was happy in the end. And that's kind of our job sometimes, is to educate delicately, knowing that, we're still responsible, and they're the ones paying our bills, but it is a job with responsibility. And I know everyone here takes it very seriously.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where actors will come in and they're just having an off day, and so we'll vouch for them. Like, no, they're really good. They, we see them all the time and stuff. And another big factor is, and Sarah can touch on this with children mostly, but how are they? Like, we'll hear feedback about the actors on set, and like they were professional or they really weren't. And so, and how you come into our studios, are you just in a bad mood all the time? Is there, so we get to see you as humans outside of you being on screen. So how you present yourself, just with the assistants in the casting studio and everyone else, like we see that and we know that. So that's a huge part that we share with our clients. Like, they're always like prepared, or they're not prepared. And, oh yes, they ask a lot of questions, or they're just like a pleasant person, or they're not. Like, we see that, we know that, and we share that information.
I'll never say anything bad about anyone. Like, as a commercial casting director, my job really comes at the end, because it's more of a volume game. So at the end, they sort of got their top picks, and then they'll say, Sarah, Stephen, what do you think? And I mean, we've worked with the same directors forever, so they really, really do trust our opinions. I will never say anything bad about someone, but if someone is kind and just, a lovely human, I will talk you up like you are the most talented human on the planet, because we want the good people to, succeed. So bad attitudes do travel fast, and we get emails all the time from producers saying, was a nightmare, never bring them back on one of my jobs, or for the kids, their parent was a nightmare, never again. Or I get feedback, especially when we were in person, like they were so mean to our assistants, and some people like, so it's just bad attitudes really do travel far. And why would I want to be like, yeah, pick them. Yes, they're the most talented human probably ever, but like, if they're not a good human, then like, what's the point? So yes, kindness, and we are on your side, and we will talk you up like you are.
Yeah. And they love that. They're like, oh, they're like just the nicest person.
Yeah.
In addition to kindness, also reliability, be communicative. Like, if I know that you are going to be on your email, you're going to pick up the call, you're going to send me a self-tape, you're going to be on set, I'm going to value that. It won't necessarily book you the role, but you'll be one of my first calls when I need someone. So.
Amazing. Thank you for all of that. I love that. And I think that's, it's good for to hear from the acting side of the perspective of how your attitude travels, right? We think that our jobs are just to come on screen and give this performance, but it's also actually, it's also working with others. And that's what I always say to like my screenwriting class, is that this is a collaborative process. So you have to be nice, because you're going to be working with everybody.
I just want to quickly, I think, like, just to not to piggyback on that, but I think there was a time in our industry where like really horrible people who are really talented still got to work. And I think that now there's a time when there are so many really talented and nice people that there's no excuse to being difficult to work with in our industry anymore, personally.
I like that. Yeah. I think that's the future. That's the future of film for me. And I think that's what we would all like, right? Is more kindness, especially after what we've all been through. So then I would love, I think everyone would love to know, so let's just touch on maybe the diversity aspect of, if everyone could talk about how diversity inclusion is maybe in the last few years, how have you seen that change or the attitude shift? I'm especially interested in commercials too.
Oh, let me start then.
Okay.
Don't you worry. So I've been in commercials for a long time now, and I am finally satisfied, happy, and just feel like finally, like things are fabulous. Without sounding like a bad person, like honestly, 10 years ago, we would see our white families. At that time, we called them Caucasian, from 4 to 5. And then from 5 to 6, we would see like our, Asian families, which we would just call Asian, no longer East Asian, South, we just say Asian. And I'm sorry if any of this sounds racist. I swear I'm not. This is 10 years ago that we were told. And so someone would ask for a time change. I'm like, I'm sorry, like your Black parents are coming between 7 and 8, so we can see you then. Now, it is the most wonderful thing ever. It doesn't matter. Like my husband just shot a commercial. None of the kids even matched him and his wife. Like it's talent wins. It looks like Canada, like families are blended. A lot of the times we just put like parent 1, parent 2. If 2 women book it because they're the greatest, then 2 women book it. If it's a man and a woman, great. If it's 2 men, great. We used to, back in the day for PSAs, this is again 10 years ago, being like, we'd love to see options, actors with disabilities, actor in wheelchairs. Now it's like we're doing a KEG audition. Of course we want it. Like we don't specify ever anymore because, any ethnicity would eat at the KEG, any ability or disability would eat at the KEG. It's like so fabulous. So yeah, I can't say enough good things. It used to also like this is now like 8 years ago would be like, oh, we'd like to see some trans options, options. And now they don't even mention it because of course they do. They just want to see everything in every spot. And it took a heck of a long time. So I'm like finally feeling like I'm not, in a sad place, but a happy place.
It's great. And it makes our jobs easier too. Yeah, it's nice.
Yay, that's so good to hear, and the enthusiasm behind that too. So I'm sure that's positive for actors out there listening as well.
It's awesome. Like it's just it's just finally like it's talent and the advertisers too, not even just like casting, but the advertisers want to reflect Canada. That's always their number one, ask. Like we want it to be reflective of real life. And if you go out in this, in Toronto, it is real life now. It's just a beautiful melange of humans who happen to all be together, at the McDonald's or wherever they are at that time.
I mean, Sarah, Sarah really summed it up really nicely. What I will add on to that is, I fully agree with you. We're in a great time. I also think it's not the time to take the foot off the gas. Like I think there's still a lot more work that can be done, and I think the scripted world is very similar, but I do see tendency to default sometimes to a certain age, ethnicity, or gender, and it's not through closed-mindedness. It is just through their own personal default. And so sometimes we need to have difficult discussions or just eye-opening discussions on why does this particular role have to be a certain gender, a certain age, certain ethnicity, and those conversations can be difficult, but they happen and usually yield really great results in the end. Working on a lot of queer projects, like that's like, what fills my heart. And I think like the next step is to see like queer performers in like non-traditional queer roles as well, that everyone can do anything. And I think that is kind of the next step for, where I want to see like casting going, is just more opportunities for really everyone. Yeah, I think Sarah summed it up much better than I did though.
Not necessarily like in the commercial world, but just kind of all over. I do think that there has been a lot of change and a lot of good, but I still think that there is work to be done in like what representation of certain people look like. Like if you want a non-binary person are you okay with a femme non-binary person? Are you okay with a masked non-binary person? Do you want them to be androgynous? What does that look like to you? What do you want your character to look like? And how can you relay that to the actors? As well, like I've talked to actors who have been told that they are like not Black enough for a role or not Asian enough for a role. And it's like, what does that mean? Like when you are who you are, how are you being told that you're not? So I think that on open calls, a lot of the time, it's really great. But we still have work to be done in knowing and being able to communicate that like a role is a role or needs a certain look without telling someone that they're not who they are.
And I'm grateful to the diversity committee at ACTRA and other places, because like I'll make mistakes on breakdowns all the time. And I know that words are changing, and the last thing casting ever wants to do is offend anyone. So my deepest apologies. Like we used to put like for a role, they'd be like male or female or non-binary, but now we put all genders because we really don't want anybody to feel they're not included. Yeah. So we are grateful to everyone to give us feedback and be like, you know, because I know that sometimes we all think that we put it out in a nice way, and it is not. So so we appreciate the feedback. And I do email the diversity at ACTRA often and just be like, please read this and make sure that everything I've said is nice, you know, because the last, like, we're so excited and grateful and everything, but the last thing we ever want to do is offend anyone. So we are happy to be growing and learning with all of you.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing too, is that everyone is learning and growing and not to take offense when it's not meant, but it's important. And that's good to know for casting and for all the actors listening. If you do see something in a breakdown, you can, if you're in the union, you can contact ACTRA regarding it, and it can be addressed. So,
just quickly on that note as well, I think that what I want to also strive to as well as an increase in diversity in the actual casting ranks in this like country. It's been a serious issue, and it's being addressed right now. The Real World is doing their casting directing mentorship program, and the Casting Directing Society of Canada is also rolling out their intern mentorship program for like September, October. So the idea is to like mentor, intern, and create opportunities for diversity, specifically in the casting directors, because it's another part of the puzzle, and it's not right that at the moment it's a very white dominated industry. So that's also the future of casting for me, is where those opportunities lie.
Thank you for that, Jesse. That's great. Those are, yeah. And thank you everybody for all of your inputs. I guess I believe we might be ending off soon, and you'll be heading to audition rooms. But to end off, I would love to know.
No, it's on. I'm listening to it.
Oh.
We might be listening to another conversation.
Hi, Tina.
To end off the conversation, I would love just to hear what to take it off of totally casting and make it a little bit more personal. Let's hear something that you've all celebrated post-pandemic or post-pandemic, or you know, anything that you'd love to share to celebrate each other.
I don't know what you're looking for. Pride is right around the corner, so I'm obviously very excited about that. Busy week coming up ahead. With the kind of roughly COVID being a little more under wraps, I really like my recreational sports, and I'm happy to get out and see my friends and get some exercise and kind of reconnect with my community. So that's been, on a personal level, that's what I'm really excited about.
I'm running a half marathon. I used to cast all the time. I still do, but I had to be at the office. But now the office is my cell phone, so I can run. And I've done so many client calls and agent calls, like just on my trails. So now that's something exciting to me. I can work while running. And by running, I mean, that'd be offensive to a runner, jogging. That's like my goal of this year, is to just go for it, even though I'm quite out of shape and not very good.
Amazing. That's going to be awesome.
I
Sarah,
also
when you
have dinner with my family every night. Like usually there's 2 or 3 Zoom recalls happening at the same time. But back in the day when we were in studio, I mean, Ash and I were at the studio till 10 o'clock every night, most nights, just hashing out with clients. But now it's like I'm at my dining room table with 2 Zoom screens, but my family too. So I feel like I may have become a slightly better mother this year.
Do you ever get motivated by like the auditions that you host? Because you said that you're running a half marathon. Whenever I talk to people who like are marathon runners, I'm always like, should I start training for that? Should I start like picking up this hobby?
Oh, I'm not a marathon runner. I'm going to be a half marathon runner. And you know, I just love being outside. Like, and I like running in the winter. Like I like to run every morning. It actually has made me, Ash can say, a kind of calmer, better person. Like I seem to be, I don't know, I think it's good for my mental health in this crazy world we like to call casting.
I'll be at Pride this or next weekend as well. My birthday's coming up. So on a personal note, that's what I'm celebrating. I do a dog party every year. I have a hound dog and I get together with all my dog parent friends, which is a lot of fun. And then I was at the Talent Inc. conference a few weeks ago. Sarah was there as well, celebrating up and coming talent in Canada there as well. So lots going on around the city.
And Ashley?
Yeah, I don't really have anything going on. I have a couple dogs. Like I'm just looking forward to the summer being outside. Maybe I can figure out a little outdoor.
I'll talk about Ashley for her because she's not giving herself enough credit. Ashley is a dog rescuer. She flew to Mexico City and brought home 17 dogs. She has 2 rescue dogs and her house is just like a hotel for dogs in need. So but during the pre-pandemic world, she couldn't because she was at the office all the time. But now working from home, Ashley is a dog hero, rescue hero. So she won't talk that highly about herself.
No.
It's true.
Well, it's stressful because I'll be in the middle of a Zoom audition and then whatever the new rescue is, it's like pissing in my house somewhere. And I'm like, oh boy, hold it together.
So that's good to know. So if anyone needs a dog, they can reach out to you.
Also, happy Father's Day. We should maybe mention that since it's today.
Oh yeah. Today is true. So to all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day. And I was mistaken. We're not going to wrap up just yet. So I'm glad we had that little share. There's just 3 Q&As we're going to address quickly before we move on. So my apologies. They just came in. So for the casting directors, the first question is about non-union versus union casting. Is there a big difference casting those projects? And then this is more a question, but we'll see if the casting directors want to answer this. Follow-up is, what is the process of a non-union actor booking a union role? I can also speak to that, but yes. So whoever'd like to go first, go ahead and pass the baton on.
I love casting union jobs. The talent of Toronto is unbelievable, like mind-blowingly talented, and the union members are incredible. I feel so grateful when it's a union job. So not that I'm saying it's my favorite, but gosh, is it wonderful. Non-union, it's much harder. It is nice to hone talent, meet new people. Ashley has to work a lot harder, but we do find these beautiful gems and it is nice. And then a lot of them will join the union. Like it's nice watching their careers grow. But I cannot say enough positive about the union talent of Toronto. It is like casting this mini series, seeing people that would never audition for our commercials, or I spent hours watching their videos, just feeling like the most grateful human in the world to get to experience their talent. So not saying anything bad about either, but boy, I love union talent.
Union auditions are like slightly more regulated in what you do. There's a lot more paperwork as well. But when you are, like recording everyone that's coming in, having a self kind of checklist if you want to, there's like a diversity sheet that you can sign as well. But someone looks at it. So you're being held accountable. You're sending that through to the union. You have it in the back of your head. And not that you don't in non-union projects, but it's I don't know, there's a little bit of accountability because you know that there is someone on the other side making sure that your T's are crossed, your I's are dotted, and you are doing everything properly. And I think that whether you're a non-union actor or a union actor, the audition process for you is much the same, but it's different for us on the back end. Accountability.
Kind of the same. I think that obviously, like, union actors are a blessing, and to Sarah's point, non-union, it's a pool of talent that is like somewhat new to us and is always changing. So it is hard sometimes to keep your finger on the pulse of who's out there, and as a result of that, I feel if you're working on a non-union project, you just have to see more people. That's just kind of the reality of it. What that means is a little bit more work on our end, but it also means an opportunity to kind of meet, discover, acquaint yourself with new people. Part of my job too, when I'm working with on a film or a web series or a short film or whatever, is also educating the production team on the options available to them within ACTRA. Sometimes newer producers are afraid that there's a lot of red tape or it's really expensive. And sometimes what I get to do is be like, it's actually, there are people there at ACTRA that can walk through the entire process. You can get really great actors for a variety of rates. And so there are options to work with union talent. And also in some of those agreements, you can hire union and non-union actors and give non-union actors their first credit. So there is a lot of flexibility. It's not black or white. And often, I mean, to Sarah's point, I also love the union. I'm still technically paying my dues as we speak, and they are there for us if we have questions, and they want us to hire their members. So, it's sometimes people are afraid of working with ACTRA due to paperwork or bureaucracy, but really at the end of the day, they want their members to work. So sometimes it just takes a phone call.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. Great. And then just to answer, the first question is from Cameron Stewart regarding the process of a new non-union actor booking a union role. Since I'm I'm part of ACTRA, I can just let you know that once you book, your agent will process you with all the paperwork, and then you get a permit, and you can apply to become an apprentice member. And then you can audition for more union roles. And then eventually you become a full member. Then we have a second question. Would love to know, this is from Marley Kajan. Would love to know what the casting folks feel like would surprise us about their jobs or the casting process from their end. So any surprises for us on the other side?
I just think it's more equal than you think. Like, we're auditioning, if you will, for every job we get as well. Like, there's lots of casting directors, there's lots of actors. So, we're all equal, we're all even, we're all, working job to job. So don't think like think like this, because none of us are like, consistently guaranteed this, fabulous straight through career. We're all like this. So we get you, and it should just be mutual respect.
Yeah, we need you actors to make us look good. So you are so important to us, because the better you are, the better we look. So that's, it's almost like it's equal, but it's also kind of flipped. So it's like, yeah, we need you probably more than you need us.
I 100% agree with all that. The only thing I'll add on is I think that sometimes people think that casting is a really glamorous life. And I hope that by the end of this conversation, you realize that's not the case. So you might see us, in a session or when you book, or like those wonderful moments, which are those wonderful moments. But I think it's like an iceberg, you see kind of 10% of what we do, and the 90% is like emails and spreadsheets and
deal memos, like,
like stop, it's paperwork. And I mean, that's what I do love about this job. I love my spreadsheets, I love my organization, but I also love the creativity aspect of it. But it is a lot of paperwork, a lot of emails, and I think that sometimes that gets missed in the forward-facing work that we do.
So you're telling us that you don't just sit at a pool watching your tapes?
I would say that, like, as casting directors, and we're all the casting directors are trying to make a change, but like, I feel like I'm required to work from 5 a.m. till midnight every day, because we work with clients in Germany and when we're doing this thing with Warner Brothers Sweden. I feel like in casting, there's no, like, I maybe get 6 hours where no one emails me, but even then I'll wake up in the middle of the night to pee and I'll be like, you know, and they have like, anyways, it's not glamorous. As Jesse said, it's a bit out of control.
Jesse also touched on it earlier, but we don't have the final decision. I say that, like, I decide who doesn't make it to camera. If you're rude, if you're whatever, I can decide not to submit you. But once you're put forward, it's a team collaborative effort between production, us, directors, client. If it's a commercial, it's not just our one decision. And I, from the real people perspective, I didn't realize like where casting would take me, what I would learn through casting. I love that I've been able to connect with people. I started in casting when I was like 18, and people were like, yeah, here's my divorce, my mortgage, my like house foreclosure. Let's talk about it in an interview. And I was like, this is a pile of information, but I've been so blessed to be able to like scout on a dance floor or go to hockey tournaments or, you know, hold audition sessions from a basketball court. Like, it really is very, very fun. Even though it's not always glamorous, like they said.
Awesome. And then the last question from our Q&A is from Angie Hung. And I think this is a great question because we were touching on diversity and how people are viewed. So the question is, I identify as she, her, but most people think I'm straight. I'm LGBTQ. Any advice how I can share this with the casting director or even if I should? And then I think if we want to add on to that too, maybe asking about identifying as LGBTQ, but presenting as straight, but even maybe age or we can touch on any of those hot topics for casting directors. Like, is it a detriment to know your actual age or your gender identity or your sexuality?
So I'll say for us, sorry, I feel like I jump in always, but so on our casting sheets, we ask your pronouns, and it's optional if you want to put them. So we will mark on all of our sheets if somebody would like certain pronouns, it is marked, and so those are the pronouns you will be addressed by. We always tell our clients to please use people's names, and if anyone is ever not sure, then just, a name is their name, so that works. We are legally not allowed to ask your name. We are legally not allowed to ask your your sexual preference. We're legally not allowed to ask too many questions about your nationality, or you don't have to answer them. So if there's information you want to share because you feel it's important to you for the role or whatever, we're always happy to hear it, but don't ever feel that you have to give us information because it's not allowed.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, I think it's your comfort level and what you want to share. It's also really important to have those conversations with your agent. So I do work on a lot of queer projects, and I think it's really important that I know who the queer performers are, and I've got a pretty good sense of who they are, but people change. And I think it's important if you want to have, I'd like those opportunities to be like authentic in casting, to know you can have those conversations with your agent, something that can actually be put on your profile or be submitted in the submission notes that you're a member of the LGBTQ plus community. And that's really helpful for me when I'm kind of going through and making selects. If I can do my own little push for a second, I'm also doing a workshop later this month, specifically for the LGBTQ community on Zoom auditions. And that's an opportunity for me to meet new people. So sometimes it's your own level of comfort, but it's also knowing that there's a community around you and knowing the opportunities available to you. So everything that Sarah said, and then plus what I said, and then I'll throw it over to Ashley and see what she has to say, and then over to Lindsay.
I don't have anything to add on this topic. Linz?
I would say if you feel that it's relevant, then tell us. And if you don't feel that it's relevant, then you don't have to tell us. You don't have to tell us either way. But like Jesse said, if it's a queer project and you identify as queer and it's a queer role, then tell us that you're queer and that you're comfortable in it. And that's great. But if it's a straight role and you don't find it necessary to mention, then like we don't care in the broadest of senses of, if you don't want to tell us, we don't need to know the information. But if you do tell us, then we're able to market, we're able to keep you in the back of our head for future queer roles. We're able to, get to know you and your acting style a little bit better, but it's all based on your comfortability, based on what you want to share, and based on how you identify at any given time.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. I think we are going to wrap up now, and you are going to get to see some great acting and give some feedback. So thank you for spending your morning with me and answering my questions, and everyone else's. And we'll see you in the casting room eventually soon. And good luck with the dogs, the half marathon, and I will see you both at Pride. Take care.